Mr. Rosmal. Does this thing sound okay out there? Mr. Rosmo, you still out there? Hope you're doing well. Cool. Someone sees me, someone hears me out there. I was just going to chat a little bit about some of the blues tunes that we do that kind of cross over into the jazz world, you know. So I'm sure you've played many of these, as did many of the other people that are out there. I put together a little journeyman's list of some tunes that I've always called on the bandstand. Also some vocal tunes, but you know, this is just a way to break through the roots music kind of blues. You know, and break into some of the you know, pseudo bebop heads that we all, you know, tend to play. So here's my little journeyman's list, and I, you know, I mean, the keys are pretty well arbitrary. It doesn't really matter much, because it's mostly all the blues. But I listed the at least what I think are the original keys, except for Xandu, which I know E flat's the original, but you know, I've played it in F. I played it in G. I think George did it on one of his albums. He did it in, I think he did it in G. I got to research that a little bit. Of course, the thumb is in G, and Sundown is in A. You know, so I guess we'll pick them apart a little at a time. now's the time everybody knows, and Billy's Bounce. It's worth listening to George Benson's solo or taking off George's solo. Um, he does a lot of great things on it. Um, and he restates the melody a little bit different than I think some other people have played it. Uh, but what I was playing while I was listening for people to come on was Miss Ann's Tempo, which is a Grant Green tune, and I find it to be a good one to teach students to make the transition from playing roots music, roots blues, which is kind of like the Bonnie Raitt and the Eric Clapton stuff, and to moving more into something that has a swing to it. I mean, that's a good tune to cross over. Back to the Chicken Shack for sure is a great tune to bring people over. Zandu. What's another one up there? Yeah, the Thumb is a cool one too. So a little bit of the Thumb, since people out there might not know it, but it's and so on. I think I scuffled a little the first turnaround of that. It's there it is. My number one favorite lick. That's a good one to get started with. Soloing, it's a straight blues. They don't hit those. They don't make those hits during the improvisation part. Some fun stuff you can learn from Wes is his use of diminished chords and the comping of that. And let's talk about comping a little bit. Instead of just sitting there doing this, you start using chromatic from below, dominant approach from above. Chromatic from below would be and dominant from above, which is really just a half step higher, but it's the flat 5 sub. That's a turnaround I use a lot. It's really cycle 5, but it moves in chromatic motion. If you take, if you don't imply a root, if you imply a root, you have a G7, then you have B flat 7, A7, A flat 7, back to G, or G, E7, A7, D7, G. But just moving it in this little 3-note grouping of the 13 chord, B flat 13. And I just put the flat 9 on top of that because it's all symmetric. Here's something I think you've heard Wes do all the time, where he goes and what he's doing is just, pedaling the root or the tonic, G in this case, and then and if you go to the C chord, keep with the G and go. So it creates a lot of excitement. Anyway, that's the Thumb, a great West tune. Got a lot of mileage from that tune. Another one that is in the key of A. That's called Sundown. Again, another blues, straight ahead blues, but I love the way he hits those difference. It's another good transitional blues tune to get you out of the same 1-4-5 stuff. What's another one that's on our list here? Blues Walk, Clifford Brown tune. I think it was done originally in B flat. Does that turn around? Another great head. When you're kicking in a blues, and I do it on gigs, I'll kick in that, and then I'll start singing what's up there. I'll jump into like Route 66 or Every Day I Got the Blues, or keep the audience intrigued. Let me comp a little bit on that blues. I want to share some things that I do that might be somewhat uniquely my own. So if we're doing the blues in B flat, where we left off. All right, let's just review what I just did. B flat 13th chord. Then I used flat 5 sub of B flat, gonna take me to the 4 chord, okay? But I put the traveling 2 chord or accompanying 2 chord that would take me there, and I'm back to the E flat. So that's a West thing. It's not only a West thing; it's a Charlie Parker thing. If you look at Charlie Parker solos, he'll blow over that to this to get to there. And I guess what I should say also is that a blues to me is not any different than any other tune that you play. It's a set of changes, and the more changes that you imply, the more the broader the canvas you can paint on. And I've had situations where people only knew how to play the very basic of blues, and but they still could hang no matter what changes I did, because whatever they played worked through the changes. But I like to address every change or reapply a change that's not there. So, so the more changes to me, the merrier. But anyway, let's get back to my accompanying on the B flat blues. So I started here. Use that flat 5 sub, and then this is something I just, it always falls under my fingers. I walk up, and I can go to here, which takes me So, and I can reverse it, which is that's an E flat 7. And if you don't want to make that stretch, you can very easily go there and put the root as opposed to keeping the flat 7. All right, and then I walk down, which is all cycle 5, or same concept as that turnaround I used, and then a 2 chord, 5 chord to 1, and there's that. Now, one thing that always seems to fall into my ear is I walk up the 2 chord, and there's my 5 chord, and I can either go up or down with it. Up brings me to that same stuff I did on the E flat 7, or I can walk it down. So here it is, a lot of that craziness in tempo. That turnaround, D minor 7, G altered, which is just a E triad with an F bass, C minor 7, F altered, which is the D triad with an E flat bass. So if you look at it, take away the bass note, it's just, here we go again. Can apply to any blues. It's a turnaround. All right. So we were in B flat, I guess we were doing. Miss Ann's tempo. Oh no, blues walk. Okay. C Jam Blues is a Duke tune. That's all it is. And of course it's in C. And that's C Jam Blues. Another great head to break you out of just playing roots music, roots blues. Now, if we back to the Chicken Shack, that's a great shuffle. I just did a bunch of thirds. You could actually do this if you want to fatten it up. Up to B flat. And I did that walk up. Here's that walk up. All right, so that's hopefully you can see my hands close enough. I'll walk that up one more time. Uh, so you can cop what I'm doing. The walk up. Maybe I'll change cameras so you can see it better. Here you go. Hopefully that helps. And that's my take on Back to the Chicken Shack. And that's written by a great organist, Jimmy Smith. So those are the things I worked out for those. I'll do one more time in case I skated over it. You heard my buddy Hank in the background whining or wanting dinner. What was it? Blues Walk. All right, so that's how I voice out that. I just punctuate the chords. What are the ones that I want to turn you on to? The Thumb we did, Blues Walk we did. All Blues we did. Now let's move on to some of the blues-based or the blues-influenced tunes that you might want to break into your repertoire. One, Mercy Mercy. I think it was originally done as well as written by Joe Zawinul. It was originally done, I think, in the key of B flat. I did a quick little head arrangement of it. I did it in C so I can hit my low E string, and that tune is basically just a C chord, F. And then the little Anyway, that's a cool tune to make a transition from playing basic blues into playing something that's blues based. um, called Duck Time. That's another good tune. It's by Eddie Harris. Uh, and that's just F. It's a sharp 9 chord, of course, or you can bend it. And I use slightly different changes. I think they use a pretty well 4/5 thing. I use so I use a G7 altered, C7, and I use it. I use a what's the intro I use? Anyway, so that's that. Now you got to try to make these tunes your own. So we did Mercy Mercy, Miss Ann's Tempo, called Duck Time. Of course, Route 66 is, I think Nat King Cole did it in G, so it's another blues in G. So, Blues Walk we did. I mean, Billy's Bounce, everybody knows, and Now's the Time. I just want to talk a little bit about, I talked briefly about comping on the blues. And I want to talk more about playing on the changes of the blues, and I just want to show you some. I mean, I guess you can say it's the world of licks, it's the world of riffs, it's the world of musical sentences that we all get from each other, and then we just embellish it. And it's no different than learning our language, or oral language. I mean, I study Charlie Parker a lot, as well as George and Wes Montgomery. I'm not saying I don't study other people, but I look at things like what Charlie Parker's done. Everything is based on chord tones or extensions. But the bigger part, I think, is that, especially on a dominant chord, if you look at what Charlie Parker does, and George does, and I guess most great improvisers, the dominant sound is a kind of an open book when it comes to what is dominant. Besides flat 5 subs. Hey Clive, good to see you, buddy. Whether it's flat 5 subs or not, but I mean, last night I just looking at something like Donna Lee, and he did. All right. Well, I mean, that's E flat 7. All right. That's E flat 7 taking you to A flat. Well, Could you use that in a million other places? Of course. Well, let's just here. I'm playing the blues in B flat. I'm going to use it for an F. Okay, so it's an F7 chord. Bring me to B flat. So I just took from Charlie Parker. Can I extend it? Let's go. Let's start again. It's all. See it? It's F minor. It's C minor 7. C minor 7, F7. Same animal. There's still C minor 7 or F7. F7 sharp 5. F7 resolves. Now let's see if I'll build on that. And I just brought myself back to B flat 7. See, so there's so much language out there. I mean, you know, you just listen to Charlie Parker and you listen to Wes. You know, like I pointed out with Wes's thing where he's let's just say on an F7 chord. Yeah, you rip that out in the middle of a solo when you're on your shout chorus. And that's another thing. You listen to Wes, he starts out with some single notes, then he goes into octaves, and he does a solo in chords, you know, using all of that dominant approach and extending all the harmonies. You know, I mean, that's what a solo's supposed to be, I would think. You know, you don't get everybody in a big band playing all at the same time. You have a shout chorus at the end that elevates the excitement. So, you know, so there's so much knowledge out there. There's so much stuff you can pick apart. Let's just, I just want to share a few more little ditties that I'll tailor to playing on the dominant 7th chord. So, I'll slow that down. Hold on. That's all over B flat 7. That's all B flat 7 to me, and that's pretty straight ahead B flat 7. Now I'll put an E7 in there instead, because I'm going to drop into E flat. So I mean, that's how I'm thinking. I'll do that again slow, just so I can show you how I target the chord tones. Chord tone, that's the 6th. Okay, so chord tone 5th, 6th, root, 9, flat 3 or sharp 9, 3, 4, sharp 4, or right, or flat 5, 5 up to the root. And in tempo, it's a little sloppy. That's better. You know, so every note that surrounds the chord, my ear hears as a color. Okay? Now that I took pretty much verbatim from, I think, George Benson's opening phrase on Off the Top with Jimmy Smith. I think he starts out. Yeah, do that right, Russ. I showed you all one afternoon. I was messing with this. I think it's all B flat, and I just ran up a bunch of triads. So we're so I target all the chord tones. So B flat is what I'm thinking and hearing now. I'm gonna go to E flat, back to B flat. F, E flat, B flat. I'm on a D flat. I'm going to make it up, go up a half step. So, I mean, that's how I improvise on the blues. I don't think about boxes. I don't think about anything. I think about chord tones, or either on the chord I am on or the chord I want to superimpose. I think I mentioned it in the past. You can't superimpose any chord if you can't play it with some kind of conviction. So you have to hear it. And anything that you can comp, any chord that you can comp, that you hear, you can use as information. I'm going to drop this list off of here so it doesn't block me all the time. You can use as information. You know, if you decide you want to, you know, you're playing B flat and you want to hear a B, back to B flat. It doesn't, you know, you know, it's just, if it's there, if you can play it and hear it, then you can use it as melodic information. All right, what did I do there? I took an A triad, which is nothing more than an F sharp minor 7 chord, which is nothing more than a B7 chord, and brought myself back. And I think that's used a lot by Wes. I think it's also used on part of George's solo on Billy's Bounce. I think when he goes to the 4 chord, he goes, or something like that. But I gotta, you know, pull that back out. I mean, I played through it many times, many years back, and it's an eye opener for sure, as is Charlie Parker's solo on Billy's Bounce. And if you all haven't gotten it, track down the video. It's an educational video, the only one that George ever did. Called The Art of Jazz Guitar, and you can just sit there and watch him, and you can kind of get inside his head, and he jokes about his dad telling him to add chromaticism like Charlie Parker did, and George made joke and goes, "What am I going to do with this?" And he said, "Well, listen to how Charlie Parker uses it." So, like I'd said in the past, you know, I target chord tones. You know, yeah, there's scale movement there, but I don't think of chord scales. I don't. Did I at one point? Yes. I can tell you that between Charlie Banakis and Dennis Andoli and George Benson, I realized that it's all about the chord tones and all 12 notes and how you resolve your ideas. There's no there's no magic pill, you know, no silver bullet. That's what it is. At least in my mind, that's how my ear operates. I don't sing a Lydian flat 7 scale when I go to play on a chord. And you know, if you want to hear a flat 5, then you make use of it in your melody. What is it that he didn't do? He did that in Donna Lee. Just in the head of Donna Lee, there's There's so much material, not even getting into his solos, and it's all little sentences. Um, how many times did you hear that? Starting from the third. So my suggestion would be take all those little fragments and find them everywhere on your instrument and get them in your head. So that fragment came from, right? Okay. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to find it everywhere on the guitar. So it starts on the third of B flat, right? Here's my B flat chord. I mean, it's everywhere. Now let's elaborate on it. That's awesome. I'm just all thinking B flat, but I took that little idea of Charlie Parker and just implemented other places. Anyway, so that's kind of like how my brain works when I'm playing over these tunes. So just to recap, I threw up there a list of tunes that are great tunes to segue from playing like standard straight ahead roots kind of blues into picking out some other tunes that are blues, and you can do them with whatever feel you want. I a lot of times I'll call the blues as my first tune or so, just to kind of warm up a little bit. Some of my favorites are the ones I threw up there. There's a million others. But I'll throw that list one more time up there before we wrap up. Okay, the Charlie Parker tunes, two most popular ones, Billy's Bounce and Now's the Time. Xandu, Blues Walk, Wes's tune, The Thumb. That's better, Russ. Sundown. Sorry. Let me do that again. I'm sitting there reading the list while I'm trying to be playing. Anyway, um, there we go. Cold Duck Time. We did Route 66. Everybody knows. What Miss Ann's Tempo. Mercy Mercy. We went through. All Blues. And Back in the Chicken Shack. So those are just just a smattering of ones that you might want to jump on and add to your repertoire, especially if you've cut your teeth in the blues and you want to add and get kind of make that little crossover into playing more changes in the blues and adding some more bebop kind of sensibilities to playing the blues. That doesn't mean you can't bend strings, and that doesn't mean you can't do whatever it is that you do, because I certainly bend strings and do crazy stuff when I'm playing. I don't just restrict myself to like uh, kind of kind of just the basic jazz guitar sound. You know, I don't think anybody should have any restrictions. You pick your tone, bend your notes, just use the sensibilities and the education to expand your horizons. That's all. Anyway, is there any questions about all this different stuff that I threw out there? We don't have. There's only a few of us here, so Rosmel or Clive, is there any questions? I mean, there's stuff you can go back on and check it all. Um, any questions on how I come up with my lines or my comping? I mean, I put a lot of stuff down here, stuff I want to share. This is not brain surgery. I'm not a Rhodes Scholar. Sid Jacobs. I that name is very familiar. Something. Why do I think he went to Berkeley? During the same period of time that I did. His name sounds so familiar. Great player. A great player. What coast is he on? Is he on the West Coast? I got to look him up. We might even be Facebook friends. The guitar world is everybody still kind of stays in touch with each other and shares ideas. I mean, we're all there's no like egos here. The fact that you all watch me hit my own clams while I'm doing this stuff, you realize that we all do that. We're all prone to slip of a pick and having a brain fart. This is nothing is absolute. So anyway, a bunch of people were talking to me about the different methods I use or different ways I pick the guitar. So let me take a little bit of time and just kind of. I mean, I studied classical guitar as well as jazz and contemporary guitar or modern guitar or whatever, growing up. And I did have to do my fair share of playing Villalobos and Bach and John Duarte. Yeah, I think I knew him in Berkeley. I really do. I think we shared classes. I think we're around the same age, although I seem to be older than everybody I'm surrounded by. Anyway, so I, I did my senior recital, and I did an hour and 40 minutes of solo memorized music, and most of it was classical. So there was a lot of material. I did Danza Caratteristica, which was by Leo Brouwer, a 20th century piece, very atonal. But I did it on fingerstyle for the most part on my then cherished 1958 D'Angelico XL, and I stupidly sold it during the lean years, Sounds like a Pat Martino tune, the lean years, which I've regretted every day. Anyway, I did some songs with a pick because Bill Levitt was a plectrum guitarist. And I didn't want to insult Bill Levitt. After all, he was one of my teachers. Um, and so anyway, but I took the discipline of the right hand just to want to add it to to my overall guitar playing. So when I play fingerstyle, my I kind of think of myself as being more like the lap piano. I don't really do much or any of like Chet Atkins stuff, and I admire all those guys that do that. Tom Bresh and um, um, and Tommy Emmanuel. But I just do it primarily as a comping thing, walking bass lines. When I back up singers, I have decent chops. I try to emulate a pick by doing the. So if I was going to do. If you look at my right hand, let me lose this thing here. Okay, if you look at my right hand, I'll try to make it as, let's see, what's the best way to do it? I even do that with one nail to get that. So, there's my double stop. So I mix it up with that. Once in a while, I do a hybrid thing with this, and I use these two fingers, and you're going. But for the most part, the pick goes in my mouth, and I use my full hand and all my fingers. When I do the West thing, it's the West thing. Now, I'm going to pass something along with you. If you find yourself getting too much finger memory, and you find yourself, talking loud and saying nothing, and not being connected, just put the pick down. Don't use your fingers, your fingers if you have that kind of chops or pick chops, and just play like Wes. And you will connect. So sometimes when I'm playing and I want to and I really want to get myself focused quickly, I'll leave the pick down. I won't approach the guitar, in any fingerstyle manner. I'll just lay my hand down and connect. I'm playing just an F7 chord now. I'm playing over an F7 chord. Okay? And that's same thing with comping. Or you could do it with the pick. It's just harsher. Now, I guess the bigger thing is there are some people who use a flat pick and they pick with the leading edge, which means that they're going in this direction, like the direction of a pick guard. Okay, I don't. I pick with the trailing edge. Here's my number one reason. When I decided the tone I was after with a pick was what George Benson had, then I stared at him and his company. I examined his approach to his right hand picking. And he's very restful. A lot of people I know that pick with the leading edge, they bend their finger like this, and if they try to pick fast, then they get really looks very stressful to me. Okay, I never saw George stress when he's using his pick, and I've seen many people talk about it. They put their hands like this. I no. I mean, I just the leading edge is going in this direction, okay, like that, and the trailing edge is going in the reverse. It's going in this direction, and that's what I use, the trailing edge, which is if you look at close pictures, I have some posted where George is picking, and I barely hold the pick. I mean, if you see, it's halfway out of my hand. Okay, so that's, you can get a good amount of velocity, but now here's another thing that people don't realize. George plays a Fender medium, but what George does is he slightly makes a point with a little bit of a nail file. I've watched him do it, and he makes a tiny little sharper point. So if you look at my guitar picks close up, let me find my camera. Okay, I sharpen the point a little bit. Okay, as opposed to playing a pick which a rounded point, which makes you sound more like a thumb. Okay, George sharpens them up. Okay, so they have a little bit more articulation. Okay, so is that a secret? I don't know. I'm sure some people have, people like Peter Farrell, great guitar player, another George Benson disciple, pretty much, as is Rodney Jones and Rosmell, I'm sure, and we've all taken a little bit out of the George Benson playbook. But those are things that I discovered. He doesn't play a heavy pick. He doesn't, I've been with him when he's been asked to jump on stage at the Blue Note because people were there and they asked him to sit in. He was searching for guitar picks and, with me and going through his pocket, and his wife's going through her purse, and he'll right away look and go, oh yeah, that's pointy. Okay, good. So these are little ditties I'm happy to pass on. I can tell you that everything I'm passing on to you about this stuff I've seen firsthand, working with him as his assistant for quite a number of years. So, and getting back to the whole educational thing, it's chord tones. It's chord tones. If we were all a choir and I sang da da da, people would find the harmony note based on my note. They wouldn't be going do re mi fa sol to find the note. They'd be going do re finding it that way. It's stacking. It's you're stacking up your tones. It's what it is. And then all the other notes. I mean, to me, I can't be a slave to a million masters. So chord tones are it, and using all 12 notes to surround them gives me, to me anyway, an open palette. It's like, wow, I'm never on a wrong sound. I'm never, the only thing is, maybe a slightly deceptive resolution, but that's still not going to put you anywhere. There's no wrong notes in music, so it's not going to put you on any thin ice that, no one's going to die here. We talked about when George plays on one chord and then he superimposes the dominant approach over that. I mean, he even did that on, right? He's playing on that all as if it's on B flat 7, because this, as a triad, is nothing more than just a B flat 7 vamp, right? Okay, and then all of a sudden he turns this into a A flat 13 chord, which makes it a 5/7 back to 1. Because A flat 13 moving in minor thirds is F7. Okay, so it's a dominant sound. And then you hear this in this solo. And he's playing this. See, so he's taking you. It adds color. If you were going to comp on B flat 7 to me, okay, if you and I would just comp in the blues or comp in just a static B flat 7, you wouldn't go. You'd go. Or something like that. So if you can do it, whether you're going to do it with me or not, I can go. I can play on that, even if you were to stay here. Same thing. How many times I was playing a few nights ago, Fever, with a singer, right? And it's just, she was in A minor. You know, she gives a fever, and she's going. Now, I'm going to sit there and go. It becomes boring. So I just started playing against the dominant 7th chord to bring me back there. I played on E7 here. See the E7 triad, the E triad. Flat 9 on E7. And it brings me back. It brings excitement. But if I couldn't play on the first chord to start with, then I wouldn't be able to play on the other chord. Okay, so that's the bigger issue, is you have to be surrounded by the chord tones of the chord that's already been implied before you can use chords re-imply or or imply other chords that'll take you there and back. I mean, hey, if I'm in A minor, I can make it as if there's a 2/5. What did I just do there? E7 sharp 9. Now I'm on a D. That's the 11 on that minor 7, but I'm still thinking as if it's E7. So anyway, we got off on a tangent. I've held you guys up here for quite a while. Thanks for joining me. It's always a fun thing to do it. I sat around this past week going, what can I share this week? And I just started thinking, all right, well, we'll pick apart some more on the blues and playing on chord tones. Anybody have any questions on how I view the fingerboard? Or I mean, I think I've been pretty open about how I see things, and it wasn't an overnight thing. I didn't take an overnight pill. I just kept beating myself up, and don't be satisfied in ever playing anything in one place, because that's going to keep the guitar and the fingerboard from having fuzzy areas, and you don't want that. Okay, so even when I take it, if I start to take apart a solo, or I try to get into the head of Charlie Parker or George, or anybody, or Eric Clapton, I don't I try to find a million ways to play it, because you never know what finger's going to be under what note when your ear hears something. And here's an important fact, at least for me anyway. Whether you're singing or you're speaking or you're playing your guitar or you're typing on your word processor, okay, or driving your car, when you learn something so well, it becomes second nature, subliminal. That does not mean that there is a millisecond of a moment that you actually hear something before you do it. Okay, so if you think that everything I played today was absolutely brand new out of my brain, no, no, it was programmed in my hard drive, and I still look for things to keep programming. When if you ever sang a song, you would know that you hear the lyric in your head before it comes out of here. When you have a conversation like right now, I guarantee you that these words that are coming out of my mouth are I'm hearing inside here before they show up. Is it so quickly that I cannot decipher the speed? Yep, it is. And that's what you want to make your guitar playing like. If we were all authors and we were writing a book, we would have the word processor so second nature, or I'm dating myself, the typewriter, okay, that you would not be searching where the H was if you were going to spell the word house. It would have, as soon as you heard the word, it would be on the page. That's really what we're looking for. That's really what we're working towards. And I'm 68 years old. It's been a long, a long road in programming that hard drive. I think I still I'm making progress. So so I'm happy to share it, because as I share it, in the Zen mentality, I think it kicks me up a notch to have to explain it and regurgitate it to everybody. But it's um, this is not like someone hits you with a magic wand. At least not for me. Yeah, I guess there are people born with absolute pitch or what have you that may have an edge up here or there, but Charlie Parker didn't have absolute pitch. Neither does George Benson, and neither some of the great classical composers. Some did, some didn't. I don't think it's any one thing, except I think if someone was to say you had a gift, my feeling about a gift, if it's a gift that the universe granted you, I think the gift was the the um, the passion and the interest in doing it. There are many people who picked up the guitar, and it became and music became um, just another activity. And meanwhile, medicine became, their passion, or football, or or archery, what have you. So the gift was that for some reason, if you're all like me, you cut the pictures of guitars out and you put them in your loose leaf book and you stared at them when you were supposed to be doing your schoolwork, and that's it. And it's just been a constant pursuit. And as I look at YouTube, man, there are some unbelievably gifted people, some unbelievably gifted educators. Now, if you were keeping track, I was supposed to be doing one of my little guitar chats with my dear friend and former student Barry Green, world-class guitar player. Very proud of him, and a great educator. Check him out, wealth of knowledge. And but we had problems with having to we're having echoes going on, so we want to get that. And he wasn't able to use his interface. And when we do it, when that time comes, I'd like him to play a solo thing. I'll play a solo thing, and we'll share some stuff, some some materials. Anyway, enough of my ranting. Thank you all, you guys, for showing up. Any questions about anything? shoot them to me. I'm just going to play a little bit, and for about another 2 minutes. If I see no questions, then I'll call it a day. All right, everybody. Stay safe. See you next Thursday. Be good. You have any topics, shoot me an email or something, and we can pick it apart. Thank you, Mr. Osmel. How about upstrokes with the thumb technique a la West? Yeah, well, George does that. I do it, but I have my nail that gets in the way from playing fingerstyle, so the upstroke is not as even if I use my thumb, well, I can get away with it once in a while. Yeah, I do it. It comes when my ear hears it. I jump in there, but it's not as fat going up if I catch my nail. But when you're in the midst of doing it, who knows? I mean, there's times I even do if I'm doing this tune. And I get to that bridge. So when I sing "Taking It to the Streets," you'll find me do a flamenco thing once in a while, just because in the heat of passion, in the heat of battle, I want to get louder, and I don't want to bang my nail across it, and usually my pick's not in my hands. Anyway, have a great week. Thank you for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next week.